wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Yes, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. Charlamagne the God, Jess Hilarious, DJ Envy's not in, but Lauren LaRosa is filling in for him. And we got royalty in the building, man. We have a woman who has represented, black people, especially black women, correctly forever. Miss Phylicia Rashad is here. How are you, Queen?
I am good.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
I'm a little starstruck, too.
I'm starstruck. I do not mean to keep staring at you, but I cannot believe I'm sitting here across from you and just... And it's woo.
Because we've been watching you on TV. You always carry yourself in such a regal manner. Mm-hmm. But then when you walk in the room, you feel it even more. So it's like, whoa. Mm-hmm. I was telling them, all right, mama walking in the room, straighten up, okay, clean up, make sure everything tidy, all right?
Yes. Do you have, and I know you have this effect everywhere you go. Are you used to people acting like this?
Oh, you all are, what can I just say? We are, as a people, respectful.
Mm. Yeah.
To each other.
Yes.
Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
We are.
But not the others?
We are, as a people, respectful.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're here for, we're going to talk to you about a lot of stuff, but you're making your Broadway directorial debut in Purpose.
Yes.
How did that feel?
Well, it was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the first time I've directed.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time I'm directing in a Broadway theater.
Mm-hmm.
But this play and this cast, it's a real gift. I hope you'll come and see.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes,
I hope you'll come and see. Brandon Jacobs Jenkins is the playwright. He received the Tony Award last year for his play Appropriate. Mm-hmm. And this particular production originates in Chicago at the Steppenwolf Theater. And the Steppenwolf has its own ethos, its own legacy for theater, as it was formed by actors. Mm-hmm. So it's ensemble work. And that's the best work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Ensemble work. But then that spirit, I watched it move through the cast into everybody. The designers, the production office and staff, the theater staff. We all, it's everybody. Mm-hmm. It's one. We call it collective intention. Yeah.
When I think about the things that you and your sister have done, Miss Debbie Allen, I just wonder, what did y'all dream of when y'all was kids? When y'all was just two little girls growing up, like, what did y'all play about? What did y'all think about? What did y'all imagine?
We grew up in Houston, Texas. Mm-hmm. Our father, Dr. Andrew A. Allen, is a dentist. Our mother, Vivian Ayers, is a poet. We grew up with a poet. Mm. We grew up with a visionary, and it was about freedom. It was about, pardon me, it was about realizing your full potential as a human being. Can you imagine things like this, teaching little children like this? Mm. She would teach us things like, she'd have aphorisms, and she'd give them to us to say, the universe bears no ill to me. I bear no ill to it. And we'd repeat that. The universe bears no ill to me. I bear no ill to it. We just go around. The universe bears no ill to me. When you teach a child like this, when you teach a child, be true, be beautiful, be free, she would say things like this to us. And she'd say things like, thinking requires thought. Thinking requires thought. We know he was saying, but these seeds were planted. Mm-hmm. By the time I was 11 years old, Debbie was 9 years old, and she said to my mother, I need dance classes, and you're not doing a thing about it.
At nine, wow.
years old.
You're not doing a thing about it.
Wow.
Well, legal segregation at that time. Mm-hmm. My mother took the railing off the side of the stairs going upstairs. She took the handrail and had it attached to a wall in what was supposed to have been the dining room. And she hired this teacher who had come from the New York City Ballet, a Caucasian man, to come and teach Debbie in the house. her ballet classes were there. This is how we grew.
Mm-hmm.
We grew like this, and he gave Deborah a book about ballet with photographs of all the famous dancers. And we would look at that book all day, every day. My mother would take us to exhibitions, to lectures, things we couldn't understand. She knew we couldn't understand it. She told us later, I knew you wouldn't understand what was being said, but you were present. And the seeds were being planted. When we were growing up, she didn't want us scarred by the ignorance of racism. And it was all around us. It was legal at that time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But as little children, if there was somewhere we wanted to go and we were restricted, she'd explain it like this. She'd say, oh, well, that's a private club for members only, and we're not members of that club. And then she'd do something else. She'd invite all our friends into the living room. She'd teach us music. She'd teach us to tumble. She'd teach us things like this. She'd teach us choral speech.
Yeah.
And that's how we grew. And at that time, music education, this is very interesting in a time of legal segregation. Music education was free and in the schools. And the schools had instruments that students could use. I studied viola. Debbie played the bass violin, if you can believe it. The littlest thing in the school, they had to sit her up on a stool. Had to sit that child up on a stool, and her little fingers, her little hands couldn't, you know, a bass player usually has big hands.
Yeah.
You should have seen Debbie up there. She never missed a beat, and she never played a sour note. She played that thing like she had created it herself. This is how we grew.
Yeah.
We grew up in surrounded by a community that cared for its children. And I mean, we were safe.
Yeah.
We were safe. We felt safe. We didn't, I didn't feel fear as a child. Our mother was a great example of that too. One night somebody tried to break in the house, and my mother was awake, and she heard the clamor. She went out the back door and walked her way around to where this man was trying to come through the window. And she stood right there and she said, you could get arrested for that, you know. Scared the bejesus out of him. He dropped everything and ran. We grew up to be fearless, but not to be stupid.
Expound on that. Fearless but not stupid.
Well, I mean, look, if you see a rattlesnake in front of you, come on.
That's right. That's right.
Don't be stupid.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
If you see a car coming your way, don't be stupid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love the story you just told, because as you were talking about it, I'm like, man, how do you teach freedom to black kids in a country that wasn't providing you that freedom at the time?
I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how. A poet, a visionary. You have to look inside, and you have to teach young people to look inside. There's nothing but freedom there. So much distraction today, right? One thing and then another to make anybody, not just African American children, but anybody feel separate from its creation, separate from the one who created everything that is, separate from one's own self. In the midst of majesty, nature, in the midst of presence, distraction. Pay attention to that.
You're going to be stealing your quotes for the rest of the month. Every day on the show we do positive note, and Charlamagne is over there writing down everything in his mind.
That's right.
Miss Rashad, he is going to be quoting you for the rest of the month. I know it.
Yeah, so you don't, we knew history. You teach history, but you don't identify with the middle passage as who you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's not who you are. That's not who anyone is. That is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But people survive that because of who
We are.
as human beings. Right now, I'm just saying it. Right now, we need all the people.
Yeah.
All the people. Yeah?
That sense of community you talking about growing up in Houston, you need that. You need to be able to teach kids freedom. You need to be able to instill security and safety in kids, and that can only come from us.
It comes from home. And in teaching, it's shared with others. Children are not born into this world fearful. No human being is born into this world fearful or filled with hate. Nobody's born like that. You have to learn that stuff.
Yeah.
There's a song from a Broadway show. You have to be carefully taught. Carefully taught. Well, you can be carefully taught the right way, too.
What was your mother's upbringing like? Because she seems like she was so still and so sure of herself, and I'm sure she had, experienced a lot.
My mother grew up in Chester, South Carolina.
Hey, I'm from South Carolina.
Oh, what part?
I was born in Charleston, raised in a small town called Monk's Corner.
Oh,
Yep.
you the people.
Yep.
Okay.
Peachy Gullah.
You the people. Okay, so it was a small mill town, right? Her father was a blacksmith. One of his brothers was a mortician, and the other brother was a barber. And these businesses had been owned by her grandfather. It was an agricultural community, right? But there was a school there that had been founded by the Presbytery. There was a number of such schools, pardon me, that had been founded by the Presbytery for the descendants of freed African people throughout the South. This school was Brainerd Institute. And in this school, there was this classical education administered by black people. My mother was always interested in music. Oh, she was quite the pianist. She described herself to me once as saying she was a little girl swinging high on the swing, looking up at the sky and dreaming big dreams. That's how she grew. Her mother passed away when my mother was 9. She lost her mother. And she said as she sat at her mother's funeral and listened to the things that people were saying, she decided none of them were intelligent enough to tell her anything to do. She would chart her own course at 9.
At 9.
At 9. And she did. And she did. It was not an easy life, but there was this spirit in her, living in her, burning in her, that carried her through. Her first publication is Spice of Dawns. This is a collection of poems. Her second publication, Hawk. If you read Hawk, you will understand how I grew. This is an inner journey. This is an allegory of freedom which parallels flight through space without a vehicle. It was published 11 weeks before the launch of Sputnik 1.
Wow. What'd you learn from your father? Because you said he was a dentist.
Oh, my father. My father was born on the back porch of a farm in Lovedale, Louisiana. He was one of 9 children. his father worked on the railroad. He was a fireman on the South Pacific Railroad, and his mother, was housekeeping, right? My grandfather put great emphasis on education, and he made sure that all of his children went to college. Imagine it.
Especially in that time.
Imagine it.
Mm-hmm.
So, my father was a very kind and generous man. He was what was called a man's man. Men loved him and trusted him. He was always the treasurer of the Dental Association because they said, if Tex takes care of the money, we're in good shape. He was organized. He was very clean. He loved music. He loved theater. He loved the arts. He came to see any and everything we did. Whatever it was, he was very supportive. He was so handsome. He was so handsome. And he was so good. He did things that people didn't know he did. He was like that. And in his office, he dealt with people's pain and anxiety every day. And they came to him and trusted him. And when they couldn't pay, he'd work out a payment plan for them that was convenient for them. They didn't have to go anywhere and incur interest rates. He would work that out for them. When my father passed away, at his viewing, the line stretched out of the mortuary.
Wow.
All the way down the street.
Wow.
All the way around the block. And when the last person came, he said, he looked at him, he said, "You don't understand. You don't understand. That's my dentist." And that motorcade, as I remember, that motorcade on the way to the cemetery stretched as far as the eye could see. He was so beloved.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. So.
That's why I asked, just because, when you look, like I said, we look at Phylicia Rashad and Debbie Allen, two strong queens. Somebody had to raise them. Somebody had to instill that in them. And as a father raising four beautiful black girls, I'm just always thinking about, what should me and my wife be instilling in them all the time just so they grow up to be strong black women.
When you love them.
That's what my mom says all the time. Just
when you
them.
love them, that's all. My father, if I can remember one great instruction, my father gave me two great instructions. He said, and I was a little girl, he said, never let anybody run over you. I was 5 years old when he told me that. Never let anyone run over you. And then later on in life, he said, always know the balance of your bank account and keep your own money. Yeah.
Wow. What can you tell us about the story without spoiling it, the Broadway? But what can you tell us about the story of Purpose without giving it all away? I know you don't want to.
Oh, this is wonderful family drama. And there's humor in it. A young man is recalling a visit to his home. And on this night of nights, so much happens in one night, and so much is revealed in one night, and some things are resolved. It's that's all I'm gonna tell you. Okay. Except to tell you the cast: Harry Lennox,
Okay,
LaTanya Richardson Jackson,
okay,
Glenn Davis, Alana Arenas, and John Michael Hill. it's the most incredible ensemble that I've ever witnessed.
Mm.
Each one is a master. Each one. And the inimitable Cara Young, who was Ludi Bell in Pearly Victorious last season. That's our cast. People come at the end of the play and have various reactions. One woman said, "Ooh, that scene at the dining room table, ooh, that was my family's Thanksgiving for the past 5 years in a row."
Relatable.
Right. And she was not an African-American woman.
Wow.
People see themselves, and that's when we know we are really doing our best work.
Yeah.
When you see yourself.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of doing your best work, I think, for a lot of us and watching you on television, the iconic role of Claire Huxtable and just what that image of, having a mom that was just so graceful and so, like everything that you were in that show, do you, like in real life, is there ever pressure or was there at the time for you to like upkeep like a certain like, I don't know, like an image or like just anything that people try to
house?
No, like so not in your house, but like in real life, like in Hollywood and other roles you were taking and like, you know what I mean? Like, did you ever feel like, because I think for us, like you are like the perfect like image of like a black woman. Like, so I always wondered if you felt that pressure.
No. Light is not heavy. Carry light. Share light. Light is not heavy.
Even in interviews, but I understand what you're saying. Even in interviews back then, you would still have the same deposition, the same grace when, outside of that role. I'm gonna tell you the one that sticks with me. When you told Sandra's boyfriend, Alvin, that is iconic. And then when Vanessa wanted to go to Baltimore, where I'm from, to see the Wretched. Oh my God! When I tell you, those are my two like key episodes, right? Well, yeah, because I'm from Baltimore and I done snuck out the house and I done done all that. And yeah, you ain't knocked Vanessa out. I got knocked out a few times, but
well, she almost did, but Cliff held her back.
Well, yes,
right.
That's it. Also, I also want to bring up the movie Beekeeper. Oh my God, how is that working with Jason Statham?
Oh, he's such a good person.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So generous, so kind.
Amazing.
To a fault, That was a great experience.
That was a great movie because it also, like, talks to what's going on these days. Like, it is so, I know y'all two probably didn't see it. So The Beekeeper is a movie about an older woman who is robbed of her retirement funds, everything, cleared out her bank accounts. Fraud, a lot of fraud. She took a phone call from this company that acted as if they were trying to like help her with some type of banking information, and she like kind of fell for it and ended up. Now in Beekeeper, is this the question I always have? Did the woman kill herself or did
she killed herself? Not because she lost her money; it was other people's money she lost.
Okay.
And do you know that maybe 6 months after that filming, I read of such a thing in the newspaper.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Only this was a man.
Yeah.
And he was so embarrassed. He killed himself.
Took his own life. Yeah.
But the greater problem here is access.
Yes.
Yeah.
So much access to people. Is all of that necessary? Is it good?
No.
No, it's not.
I don't think
No,
so.
man.
No, it's not. And as we see it moving towards more access, you got to think about that.
Yeah.
How do you?
Good.
How do you nowadays, like, because I mean, you obviously pick and choose what you want to do with your roles. Like, I watched you in The Air from Detroit, and I've like the one scene where y'all in the car and you were talking about the Temptations.
Oh, yeah.
What is that? She slept with the Temptations?
Yeah.
Yes, all of them.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I felt bad watching that. I'm like, I don't think I was supposed to hear her say
I thought
stuff
that was
like
AI.
that.
That was a
I was like, she ain't saying
character.
that.
Yes, but it's
You know what's so funny though? The first time I saw the clips, they didn't tell me it was from a TV show.
Yeah, he
I was
thought.
like, what the Phylicia
Yes.
Rashad? I said, what?
He thought that you were up here like really reflecting on your life. I said, damn, she slept. Claire Huxtable slept with all the temptations.
No. That was a character, darling. That was a character. As actors, we play these roles.
That's
But
Right.
when you choose a character like that, where it's like it's a lot different than how we've seen you or how I've seen you anyway, and different things that you've done, what's your thinking behind it? Is it because you want people to see you in the different lights, or is it just I just want to do
Did you
it?
see what she was doing?
Yes,
That's why I chose the character, because of what she was doing.
Yeah,
See, people get all caught up in funny stuff.
yeah.
What was that woman doing?
She was rescuing people.
She was
Yeah.
rescuing people.
Mm-hmm.
She was living with the deepest hurt that a mother can have, that she lost her child because she was not paying attention.
Mm.
And in her heart, she felt that her child was alive somewhere. And this is years later.
Right.
But just in a moment of being too tired and too annoyed and too distracted and wanting to do something else, she turned away. And in that instant, her child was taken from her.
Yeah.
And so she set about saving people.
Mm-hmm.
She went on saving people, hoping one day somebody would save her son.
Mm-hmm.
So I choose people because I choose a character because of what people are doing.
Yeah.
Got you.
I want to go back to something Jess said. When she brought up the Elvin scene, right? Because that was a role. When you schooled Elvin on, I guess the marital role. How much input did you have on that scene, and what were you trying to convey when you saw it on paper? What did you say to yourself? Oh, I know what I can do in this scene to convey a larger message.
Oh, I didn't say anything. I just said I just said the lines.
Oh, so
'Cause
it was just as
it
is?
was there.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
It was there, but it was the way you deliver it. You know. So
You was like battle rapping.
What? Like, she was
anytime,
rapping on
anywhere,
any
ever.
it was so good. I thought it was improv.
you know, this is a part of your training as an actor, language and how you use it. You know, and there's rhythm and there's pace, and so much is conveyed in that way. If you said it another way, it wouldn't be as effective.
Yeah.
If you tried to say it like you were singing "Up the lazy river," no, it wouldn't work. No.
It wouldn't hit like
No.
Black Mama. No, it wouldn't.
What were them writers' rooms like though? Because it felt like a black experience. Were they black writers, white writers? I mean, what were those writers' rooms
A
like?
combination.
Okay.
The thing was to write a human story, to write about human behavior, the truth of human behavior.
Yeah.
That's what makes comedy and theater real, the truth of human behavior. You don't have to make something up if you're writing about something that's real. Right? You can take a different perspective on it, and your skills as a writer, you know, show up in your language or your, you know, those things that writers do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do to channel roles like your role in Fall from Grace, like where you're the villain? What do you do to channel those roles?
Everybody's a human being, right?
Yeah.
Okay. She's just a nasty human being. She's just nasty.
Yeah.
This is a person who is sick. Her whole perspective is warped. You've got to be sick to mistreat another person.
Yes.
I'm sorry. You cannot be sane and do hurtful things to people. A sane person won't do that. Do you agree?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's why one of the 4 agreements is, don't take offense to things. Don't take things personal, because what somebody does to you is not a reflection of you. It's something that's going on internally with them.
With them.
It's hard that, to put yourself in that position, but you really got to know that.
Yeah, sometimes you want to just clutch somebody.
That's right.
Shake them real good.
My daddy used to say, you'll stop taking everything personal once you realize that it's a bunch of people out here on cocaine.
Whoa.
But it's kind of
Wow.
true. What
She
he's
said,
saying,
whoa.
what he's saying is kind of true. It's like, people out here doing all types of stuff that you have no idea about.
Where was your father from?
Moncks Corner, South Carolina. Yeah, all my family from South Carolina. Mama, daddy, everybody.
Don't you just love it?
Oh, it's the best. Because, it's like, if you ever been to the International African American Museum, oh, you were there. I'm bugging. saying. Yes, you were there for the grand opening.
Yep.
I didn't get to meet you. I wanted to meet you. I was on the other side. But yeah, it's right there on the port where like I think 50% of all enslaved Africans came through.
Yeah.
So that's like home for a lot of us.
Yeah. And don't know.
That's right.
And don't know.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about when you ran down on Vanessa, who or what were you channeling in that moment? Because I'm sure you and your sister snuck out the house a couple times, and Mama had to get on you.
You never snuck out?
I didn't have to sneak.
Yeah.
I didn't have to sneak.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't have to, but it was good not to have to do that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we might have stayed a little too long.
Right.
Right.
But we didn't have to sneak.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. It was, you know, you're an actor, and you understand human behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You understand feelings. It's the way you develop yourself. This is the craft. This is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess if you do it in a certain way, people think it's you.
Yes.
That's why
Yes.
they can't see you playing a role like in A Fall from Grace. They're like,
Yeah.
what? Miss Rashad is a villain?
No, she was.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
We have to
She was.
detach the actress from the character.
Oh yeah, you know, and as an artist, you don't want to sing the same song
Mm-hmm.
or play the same tune
Yeah.
All the time.
forever.
That's right.
You don't want to paint the same picture forever.
Mm-hmm.
You got a paint box. You want to use those paints
Mm-hmm.
and do a different scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have range.
Well, yeah, and you want to express humanity in whatever you do. At
Mhm.
least I do.
You know,
Yeah.
you can't. Okay.
I was gonna say your time at Howard. I'm a HBCU grad. I went to Delaware State.
Have you ever heard of it?
Yes.
Wow.
Don't
Please.
get them together, please. Thank
Next.
you. Exactly right. But the freedom that you were talking about earlier, I remember. Like I was raised in a household where my mom was very much like that. But going to a HBCU, I remember that being the first time where I was like, oh, okay, the world like really needs me.
Mm.
And it was because of like teachers and counselors and stuff that kind of had the same spirit that you have. I wonder, like for you, what was like one of your favorite things about walking on campus every day with those students as a dean?
As the dean, ooh, walking on campus, everywhere I looked, I was reminded of my time there as a student. And I was reminded of my friends. And I was reminded of the things that we did and the time in which we were living as students. It was an important time. Dr. King was assassinated in my sophomore year.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched these things happen. So much unfolded on that campus. I remember when Muhammad Ali came and spoke on the steps of Frederick Douglass Hall. And I remember him standing there and he said, "Look at me. Can't you see that I'm free?" And you could. Oh, there were great people. There were great, the instructors. When I tell you about instructors I had at Howard University, you know.
Yeah, they pour into, like you never forget that. Like they pour into you in a different way.
And they're so well developed.
Yes.
They are deep. They are deep. So there was a time, you know, I'll just reference it back to my father's area, dentistry. There was a time when African Americans were trained, could be trained at Harvard, but they wouldn't hire them to teach. So these people who were trained in these great, quote, great institutions went to HBCUs to teach. You were receiving that education there.
Yeah.
That discipline, those demands. They were serious about it. They were so serious about it. There was an instructor at Howard down in the medical school, Dr. Montague J. Cobb. They talked about this man. He was legendary. My father's friend said, "Oh, no, you don't understand. If we failed the test," he would say, "Meet me in the lab tonight." And they'd all show up in the lab. And while they were going around doing what they were supposed to be doing, he would pull out his viola and play as he walked up and down the aisle. And my father's friend said, you wanted him to play that viola because that meant that he was pleased with what you were doing.
Wow.
I mean, they came, we came through in a time that we should remember.
I feel like that's a level of village I don't know if we have anymore.
Well, we can have it if we want it,
Mm-hmm.
and we can expand it. We can expand it to include our Hispanic family. We can expand it to include our Asian family. We can expand it to include our Caucasian family. We can expand it because we need all the people. That's a line from August Wilson's play, Jim of the Ocean, Aunt Esther. Whew. Aunt Esther says, I'm going to show you what happens when all the people call on God in the one voice. God got beautiful splendors. And God got room for everybody.
Were you when you decided not to return back to Howard, did you feel like you didn't return because your work was done there, or was it just like a personal decision because like business reasons? Like I just feel like people like you was like, we need you on campuses every day. But I know it's a lot to do all at once. But like, what was that like for you? That decision not to go back?
Well, I will always be connected. I will always be connected to Howard University. As a matter of fact, next week I will be in Washington, D.C. for the one-night-only reading of Chadwick A. Boseman's Deep Azure.
He wrote that, right?
He wrote that. So he was one of my students early on.
Wow.
When Al Freeman Jr. invited me to come and teach for a semester. So we were in the studio doing the show Monday through Thursday, and Friday morning I'd get up and fly down and I'd teach. And he was one of my students. Susan Kalechi Watson was one of the students. Camilla Forbes, one of the students.
Wow.
He was fearless. He was brave. South Carolina.
Anderson.
And he was also very respectful. This is why I say as a people, we are a respectful people.
Yeah.
We are. Naturally, you know. So anyway, he kept in contact with me. And after he had graduated, one day I received this call. I'm sending you something, Miss Rashad. He would always call me that. I'm sending you something, Miss Rashad. Even after he had attained fame and notoriety, he still called me Miss Rashad. Always. So I said, okay. And what he sent was a copy of this script that he had written. Hip-hop theater. Hip-hop theater was born on the campus of Howard University, and he was one of the progenitors. He was one of the innovators. It's, how can I say, hip-hop language and rhythm through the voice and experience of a classically trained actor. It is grand.
Wow.
That's like the essence of a HBCU. Like when you saying it, it's like, oh, okay, that's what it's like when you go to like the CAF or like you in the parties or you. It's literally like everybody is so like astute, but like it's a vibe. Like you can't describe it. You got to just be there.
And it's real. It's real. And people are taking their education seriously.
Right.
But now with this AI business, I don't know. I mean, children try not to write their own papers. They try to do this. What do they call it? This chat thing?
Chat
GPT.
And I'm excuse me for stammering, but it puts me at a loss for words. Like, darling, don't you understand why you're here? Now, if you wanted to do that, you could stay home. You should stay home because you're taking up room that somebody else could be occupying who really wants to
do the work.
Yeah, who really wants to develop. What about your intellect, baby? Do you have no care or thought for your intellect, for expanding that? What about that? What about your worldview, darling? Do you not care for that? Oh, okay, you're going to give that to the chat too. All right, well, let's see where you land. Let's see where you end up. So, purpose, the play.
Yes.
One of the things that's said in this play by the patriarch, he said he feels that he has lost a communion with God. He said ancestors were in such close communion with God and his creation. They knew how to do things and how to take care of things. He says, and I think that we all have lost that. He says, well, maybe it's old age, I don't know. But he says he's very interested in the things we used to do back home down in the country. Fishing and hunting and beekeeping and growing, you know. I was shocked. Shocked to know that there are children who don't understand that French fries come from potatoes that are grown in the ground.
Those wasn't the children at Howard, was it?
No.
Oh, okay, great.
But I'm shocked. But I'm shocked to know. I'm shocked to know from 2 pediatricians in 2 different cities, right? They have books, in their waiting rooms for the young children. Young children come in and pick up a book and try to scan it. Because the parents aren't giving them books. They're giving them these little things.
Tablets.
These things.
Yeah.
It's like, So here we go back to parenting. You're going to leave that in the hands of somebody else?
That's right. That's right.
And think it's going to come out right? I don't think so.
The dramatic pause. I don't know if this is a dramatic pause or you be stopping. That's why I be just
Yeah.
like, I don't
and I never know when it's time to ask another
Did you
question.
always
'cause-
speak in a dramatic pause? Or you, like,
You calling it a dramatic pause?
but no,
He surely
I'm
is
trying to figure out.
calling it a
Sometimes it's a
dramatic
dramatic pause, but then sometimes you really are done. So I'm just trying to figure it out.
She's taking her time to speak.
Yes, yes.
We're in conversation.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay.
I had a question about the Deep Azure.
Yeah.
So the proceeds from the One Night Only are going back to the College of Fine Arts at Howard.
To the
Chadwick
Chadwick A.
Boseman.
Boseman
Yeah,
College
Chad-
of Fine Arts.
yes.
Yes.
Would like today, if Chadwick could see kind of like how the final product has come along and everybody that's involved, what would his sentiments be? Like, how happy would he be to see all of this coming to fruition from that first phone call that you guys had about
I'll
it?
tell you, his wife is very happy. And his producing partner, who was his best friend in college, they're very happy. And I'm very happy because it's happening. And it's happening with a great cast of actors. I don't know if you have that list.
I can look it up.
I don't know if we have the list. You want to look it up, Lauren?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, you should look that up. It's
Isaiah Johnson,
yes.
Amber Iman, who plays Azure, Greg Alvarez Reed plays Tone, Joshua Boone plays Rashad,
Yeah.
Lauren Banks, the Street Knowledge Good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mess this one up. Adesola Askalumi.
She said, what? What'd you say?
Adeshula. Okay, Adeshula. I knew I was gonna mess that one up. I'm sorry. Adeshula is the Street Knowledge Evil. Jess Washington is Stage Directions. On my list.
These are all professionals.
Yes.
And God, we're so honored. We're so honored. And our honorary host committee. I mean, you know who's on that?
I can look it up.
Look it up and see. I mean, these are people supporting this.
So the honorary host committee, Ryan Coogler is the honorary chair.
Wow.
Common, Susan Kalichi Watson, Don Cheadle, Ta-Nehisi Coates. Ta-Nehisi Coates, Camilla Forbes, Reginald Hudlin, Kenny Leon, and Terrell Alvin McCraney.
That's like the Black
Wow,
Avengers.
yes. Like, that's a whole nother universe right there.
And it's all to support his legacy.
Yeah, to support his legacy. Chadwick was really amazing. Chadwick was an actor, yes. Chadwick was a writer. Chadwick was a director. Chadwick was a scholar. He studied many things. The etymology of words. Oh, he was deep into that. Into names and the meanings of them. He studied the Bible, not to Bible thump, but to understand its origins, really, and its deeper meanings. And then he combined all of that with you know, I hate to say it like this, but I'll say it like this. With African cosmology, why do I hate to say it like that? Because Africa's a huge continent, and it is not a monolithic proposition.
Right.
But there is a certain ethos that runs through all. He was brilliant.
Very.
He was brilliant. There was nobody else to play Black Panther but Chadwick.
See how big we got him on the
That's
on the
right.
door.
Oh,
That's him
yeah.
right there. Yeah.
And you know, what he really cared about, he called me one day, and this was after graduation. He was living in New York, and he was so excited, and he wanted me to know what he was doing and to come and see. And I was thinking, okay, now let's see, what premiere is this? What film is this? What play is this? It was none of that. He was working with young people in the Schomburg Library.
Wow.
And he was so excited about that.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
that's who he
amazing.
was.
You know, you came up in an era, Miss Rashad, where dignity and grace were everything. So do you ever look at how wild Hollywood is now and you just think to yourself, boy, y'all got it easy. Y'all wouldn't have got away with that in my day.
Yeah, you'd have to look at Hollywood. I could look at the way young ladies dress.
I knew I should have worn some other pants.
You got your
I'm
abs
not
out.
talking
You see what
about
I'm
that.
saying?
Covered
You
today.
good?
I'm
my
talking
knees
about.
up.
I'm
See,
talking
not near
about.
elbow,
I'm
shoulder
talking-
over here. I
I'm-
just,
you know,
you want my coat?
the young ladies are so beautiful.
Mhm.
They're so beautiful, and something has happened in popular culture. You know, and I don't mean to be critical, and I hope young ladies listening don't take this as personal criticism, because I don't mean it that way. But you're young queens, beautiful and smart and brilliant and bright. And it really, I know I'm taken aback when I see on a college campus young women dressed in strips of clothing. I mean, male instructors don't like it. But more importantly than that, and you'd correct me if I'm wrong, sir, no man wants his woman to be out like that. Right?
No, I grew up on Method Man saying, wearing 3/4 of cloth, never showing your stuff off. Boo. That's what he said.
That's right.
But not only that, you know, it's like there's today's designers. I mean, there's ways. You know, there are other things, and I just
Leave something to the imagination.
Yeah.
it would be nice.
Some things are for my eyes only, you know?
Yep. And like you said, there are ways of being sexy without showing so much.
Oh, please, and that's really not sexy.
I mean, one of the most sexiest, most beautiful pictures is you. I forgot what year it was, but you got on like a basketball jersey and like some jeans. You eating some popcorn. That is, that's an iconic
Is
picture.
it the white jersey?
Yes,
That was yeah. That we did.
that is a
Brown
beautiful
Burgundy
picture.
jerseys
That's
for
like
that.
that is the epitome of sexy.
Oh well, it's. I think it has to do with. I think it has a lot to do with what they see. What they're emulating what they see. See, we grew up in a time where, you know, the singers, these ladies were dressed down, darling. These women, whew, they were wearing robes and gowns and do, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it's a little different today.
Yeah.
So they're really just emulating what they see.
That photo was from 1987. You were
1987?
Madison Square Garden.
Was it a Harlem Globetrotters jersey?
It was yeah. Well,
You know the picture I'm talking about?
Yes,
Miss
this
Rashad?
one right here, right?
Yes.
Gray with the
Oh,
popcorn.
yes.
Do you remember that night?
Yes,
Yes, I
ma'am.
remember.
What you was doing?
I was there with Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Hey.
Congratulations.
Oh, wow.
We wanted all of this to be here before you got here.
Yes. Congratulations.
Oh my!
You know,
On your
you gotta
directorial
give your
debut.
icons their flowers and celebrate them while they still here.
Oh,
Thank
absolutely.
you, thank
Oh,
you,
that was
thank
sweet.
you. Whoa!
Got her balloons. Got her flowers. We don't never do that for nobody up here.
Oh
Not camera.
So we
These
are
are
giving you
beautiful flowers.
You've been so gracious with your time, so I just got a couple more questions. What's a lesson you learned way too late in life that you wish you figured out sooner and you would teach to the next generation?
Now, this is going to sound weird to you after everything I've told you.
Mm-hmm.
The lesson that I learned later in life was that I'm enough.
Mm.
As a young girl growing up, and young girls go through this, you'll know.
Yes.
You go through a period where you feel like because you're looking outside yourself. You compare yourself to everyone else you see, and you're not enough. Because you don't dress like that one, or you don't have hair like that one, or you don't have legs like that one. Or you can think of any number of things. Young girls go through this kind of thing. Usually happens around adolescence, where you feel like you're not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that had to do with my mother being so beautiful, my father being so handsome, my sister being so cute, my brother being so whatever. And I just thought, well, when I was born, the Lord was doing something else.
Shit.
You really
I'm
felt
serious.
like
I'm
God.
serious.
what age was this that you felt like that at? You said
When I
adolescence.
was young, when I was 10, 11, 12, and that's a subtle thing that you'll carry with you until you look inside yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you start looking inside yourself. And that thinking vanishes and goes away. Because it's only when we look inside ourselves that we see what beauty really is.
So when did you get to that place of worthy?
When did I get to that place?
Yeah.
I think I was about 30, I want to say. I was about 34, 35 years old.
Wow.
And now I look back at those pictures of myself and I say, why'd you feel like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The mind.
Oh, yeah.
The mind. That's why it's important to teach young people to look inside. The mind. The state of mind. And there's too much going on right now that's so distracting for them. I don't know how young people feel if they listen to news reports today. They can't feel empowered.
Feel
Because
hopeless.
it's not meant to do that for us, for anybody.
But it never has, though. I mean, they always say if it bleeds, it leads. Like especially for black people, they never were telling us anything to make us feel uplifted and empowered.
All of humanity is in the same boat, my friend. Nobody feels empowered by that. Not really. I was taught a very great thing. I heard a very great thing from a great being some years ago. Make yourself great by making others greater. And that's what I would teach a young person.
Make yourself great by making others greater.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you, not just for the interview, but for your career of
Man.
things.
Thank you. Just thank you for being you, Ms.
Yeah.
Rashad. Like it is not every day you get to meet people that you grew up on and watched and said to yourself, man, that person right there is a pillar of our community and what we need to be as a people. And then you meet them and you're just as gracious and regal in person. So just thank you to your mother and your father for raising such a beautiful, strong woman.
Thank you.
And I hope I can do the same for my daughters.
I think you are. I think when they look at you, they know that they're loved and they're protected. That's all they need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Make sure y'all go check out Purpose. It's running through on Broadway through July 6th. It is Queen Phylicia Rashad. Thank you for joining us.
Ma'am.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.